Assembly itself, this is technically a barrel assembly. It's more than one piece. We're going to check the feed ramp, the overall roundness of the barrel itself. You can actually see down inside the lands and grooves as well. The overall straightness of the barrel, and as well as any damaged nicks, burrs, or any damage there to the front. Handling a firearm, it's important to show it's clear. The magazine is empty. You can actually see down inside the chamber. Check down the magazine well. Physically inspect. There's nothing there. There's no live ammunition. Those are snapped. Overall health for the firearm goes, one of the things we're going to check, we'll start with the slide. We're going to check the sights. We'll also check the outside, the exterior of the firearm itself, as well as the port chamber there. Make sure that there's any kind of burring along the inside of the slide as well. So we're going to look for those items. We're also going to make sure that we don't have any protrusion from the firing pin. Use a firing pin protrusion gauge, or take the firing pin out from the back here and check it. As you can see, a little bit of scratch there in the Cerakote, but it's okay. I won't. Need to make sure that the buffer spring is in good condition and not damaged or bent or missing any chunks out of it or cut to inappropriate. Hey everyone, James Gillum here, student at SDI. We'll be in class FTH 223-51604, which is going to be hammer-fired pistols. We are talking about week 5 assignments, which we're going to be covering quite a few different things. We're going to talk about the overall health of the firearm. We're going to identify 10 things I've learned, and we're also going to talk about future plans that I plan on modifying this particular firearm. So let's get at it. Frame, you actually have a lot of your hammer itself, the grip safety, the trigger, your magazine well release. You can actually see down inside there the sliding bar where the magazine releases. The actual thumb safety itself as well. Does engage and does not. Engages and disengages. And of course the beveled edge of the magazine. And you also have this chunk here of the pins and everything else that's inside there, and all this stuff has to do with it. The hammer itself moves under spring tension. Also, to mention in the 1911 platform that they do have this bushing here. Sometimes you can get burrs in there, so we have to make sure as it directly interfaces with the front of the barrel. So it's good to know if that's in good condition. I learned about the 1911 platform was actually inside the trigger housing inside here where the sear is. You can actually set that in backwards. So it's important. I learned that the spring doesn't have a follower on the end of it because it's basically set for it already. That was by design. It wasn't just something I figured out, but it actually fits pretty well with this little class. Item 3 and item 4. I'd never taken the extractor out, so I learned that. I'd never taken the fire pin out either, so those are 2 other things. So that's 4 and 5 that I've learned. 7. You got this little bar inside here, this little thing. It's actually a spring. It doesn't feel like it's a spring, but it's actually made out of spring steel, so it does actually function as a spring. I thought that was a pretty interesting piece of information to know. 8, I also learned about these little studs on the end. See these little guys here? They look very removable. They are technically removable, but you probably shouldn't. So that was something that I learned. Had I not known that, I may have thought I had to remove them, and I didn't. So there's 9. The actual grip safety itself is all one big pack. It's not like it's a bunch of little missed pieces or anything inside there, which I thought was kind of strange, because I've actually seen gunsmiths ruin this in the past. So it kind of makes me curious now that I know about it, how they did that, but they did. Silly as it is that this is actually a barrel assembly, as it is consisting of more than one piece, so calling it as such is still something I learned. In the video, we're going to talk about modifications. So one of the modifications I want to do this one specifically is a combo of a chamber with an actual compensator block, and I want to also get an extended barrel and port it. So that's one thing. Mainly thing I'm planning on doing with that is just buying a pre-made compensator, and then actually porting those barrels myself. I'm going to play with some of the designs. Materials, as far as the cost goes, time shouldn't take more than maybe 2 or 3 hours if I'm doing the milling myself, just to be safe. Cost of the materials goes, the barrel itself is roughly about $200. I've seen them online for the longer ones, and then the blocks themselves range between $50 to $150, depending on what I want to go with. What I would charge somebody else to do this, I mean, it's really going to depend on the firearm itself. My guess is somewhere, if they want high-end stuff, somewhere between $200-$300 to $800 or more, depending on what they have, as far as, they want to get a compensator that's going to match what they do. So it's not super labor intensive, but it's going to be more on the actual individual quality of the parts and type of parts the customer is going to want. That's the main thing. As far as the rates go with local gunsmiths, some of the gunsmiths in this area are actually like terrified to touch 1911s, so I thought that was a bit strange. And I think a lot of that reflects in their price. I mentioned more towards that, above the $300 mark. Most people in this area, they won't touch a 1911 for more than or less than like $600, which I don't think makes much sense. I mean, parts and all that stuff, there's not really a lot of cost to them, markup and everything. I think a lot of that is just generated from their own lack of experience. So I think that doesn't serve the customer very well. So as I develop my skill set with these, I want to definitely start kind of getting a pattern of my own type of 1911s that I build. And go from there, kind of give something that the customer can have a package that they like, see and like, and have a drawn out cost, so that way they're not guessing. And what if I get the block from Jim Bob's, and what if I get this barrel from Steve's, and get whatever. That way they know what they're getting their hands on. They're getting the exact same quality every time. So that's my concept. Probably my funnest, most interesting piece is actually checking fire pin protrusion for this. I thought this was kind of cool, Lauren. You can actually take and push, see the firing pin come out. I thought that was pretty cool.